Hey, how's it going, ninjas? You're watching video number 6 of the Ninja Monkey Video School. We're going to talk about how to edit the rough cut of your wedding video. So we're going to start basically on a general rough cut. It's going to be for the feature length version of the wedding. It'll start like that, but basically you could just duplicate this work and use the same work for the highlight. I'll show you how to do that at the end of this video. Basically, this would be picking all your best stuff, and then you could refine it more for the highlight, make it a little bit shorter. So basically we're going to learn how to edit the rough cut, set yourself up. It's going to be a bit of an assembly cut and a rough cut. Now, when you get into your rough cut, there's going to be a few of the standard things you got to make sure you set up to do a rough cut in Final Cut X. So basically, this would apply to most editing programs. The first thing you're going to want to do is set up your roles. You're going to need to understand what insert editing is versus overwrite editing. You're going to need to know when and where to leave gaps. So basically right now we're not really refining anything. We're just kind of picking all the best stuff, and then in the next class I'll show you how to refine it into something that actually looks good. In the next class we won't add effects. That'll be a separate class. Basically we do everything in stages to just make sure we do a very good job in each of the stages. So we'll learn where to leave gaps. And the last thing I'm going to show you is how to place your already edited, pre-edited multicam clips that we learned in the previous class. How to place those into your assembly cut, rough cut, so that it's ready to go when you start refining everything in the later classes. Alright, so let's jump into Final Cut and we'll kind of get started on our rough cut. Alright, so here in Final Cut, I'm in the project that we've been working on. I'm in our Organized Clips folder. Basically in this Organized Clips folder, I have everything organized: ceremony, pre-ceremony, reception. Usually we'll start in the pre-ceremony. Now I'm not going to go through every single one of these folders. I'll go through a few, and basically what I do in these folders, you can kind of just copy and just do the same thing for the rest of it. So here you can see we'll close down my inspector, and we'll close down the video scopes. That's Command 7 to close that out. So usually, and I won't need a timeline usually for this very beginning part, so we'll just close that out too, just give us a little bit more space. So basically here I've already kind of organized everything. These are all the bride's clips. What I like to do to know that these are all the bride, I like to put a role for them. So I assign a video role. And you could see here, I already have several video roles that I've already added, but we'll kind of add another one here. This could be for the bride. So here I have one for the groom, but we'll just add one for the bride. Usually I just had her under fire, I think, when I was editing this. Fire would be like my best stuff, but we'll put bride. So when we add a new video role right here by pressing this plus, and then you could name it whatever you want. You could also change the color. You'll see it'll reorganize itself. You can change the color right here by clicking this color wheel. Oh, sorry, it wants to name itself. If it's trying to name itself, you can't change the color. I just pressed enter to make that go away. You can change the color. Change the color to whatever you want. Obviously, you don't want to use the same color for two different things. So I'll kind of choose a color that I haven't used before. Maybe we'll go with a green that hasn't really been used before, that's used in the music, but we'll use that for now, and we'll apply that. So right here, now that we've made that new role, I'll just name, so I've basically selected all of these clips. You could just select one, or you could just press Command A. It'll just select all the clips. And then we're going to right click or Command click, assign video roles, and we're going to name all of these bride. These are all for the bride. So these would all go down under bride. Another thing to keep in mind when you're doing these roles is that if you're assigning video along with the roles, it's not gonna basically be the right color. So I'll show you what that means right now. So let's create a new timeline inside of here in our timelines folder. I'll just kind of switch the view. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to watch the view if you just switch right here, toggle clip display. You can display from a thumbnail view to just a clip file view. And we'll create a new project right here, inside of here. And we'll name this Video School. And this is number 6. And now all of these will be set later, but so we know we are using 4K clips, so we'll put them for 4K right now. It's 2397. You kind of want to make sure when you're making a new thing, you kind of put the general settings. You could also have it use automatic settings. The first clip that gets dragged in will just have the settings of that clip. So what we could do, it'll take a second to just kind of create that. Now, pre-ceremony bride, we have all of these clips. Now we're gonna start, basically for the long version, I wanna put anything that's good in the long version. So right now, I'll just go on and selecting the parts that I think are good. So making in and outs. So you see I already have created in and outs. All of these are when I press in and out. But basically we can recreate it. I'll press Option X to make that go away. And I'll press in and out. Right there, that's gonna be the clip that I'm gonna put in. This clip right here. So into the timeline, the way that I like to do it, I don't like putting things right in the beginning. I like to kind of give myself that gap for things that I'm working on later, for titles and things like that. I kind of like moving the timeline over, the control, the time indicator, CTR, current time indicator. It has a certain name for it, but the timeline, the time. And basically, there's several ways that you could put this inside of the timeline. The options for what is going to happen when you press the different buttons are right here. You could have everything go in, you could have video only go in, or you could have audio only go in. Usually, I like to have everything go in, and I'll turn off the audio in the timeline, just in case there is audio that I want to use. I have it. I don't have to go back and re-edit it and do anything like that. I have everything here. I basically will just put all of the audio and then turn off everything that I don't want to use. Sometimes it's nice to have that ambiance of just kind of just girls hanging out, the little bit of chatter and a little bit of laughing and stuff like that. It's cool to have in the background, so that's why I do leave all of the audio. But if we want to put this in, there's 3 ways we can basically put this in using a keyboard. Using the keyboard, it's either Q, W, or E. Q will connect it to the timeline. It'll just put it right on top of the timeline. W is going to insert it into the timeline. So let's show you, and then E will append it to the end of the timeline. Whatever your clips are, it'll put it to the back. It'll make this clip the last clip. We'll show you how to do each of those right now. So basically the one that you're going to be using the most is insert, W. You're just going to press W. That's going to put it inside of the timeline. Let's press Shift Z to kind of zoom ourselves in. We can press Command plus to zoom ourselves in a little bit more. So that put it right into the timeline, right where I put it. Now let's move the time indicator a little bit more. You see this is a pre-selected clip that I already have, and I put it in and out already. I want to put this on top of the timeline. To put it on top of the timeline would be Q. You're going to just connect it right to the timeline. Now, if you want to, let's say, put a clip in between these two, you could do that. We'll show you, basically, we'll put this one in the timeline. We could just insert it. So now it has pushed everything over from this clip, left a gap with this clip in the middle, and now has the rest of that clip at the end. That's inserting it. You can kind of see this a little better from far away. Look, watch when I insert it. It moved everything after where the playhead was, the playhead indicator, moved it over and put that clip in between. That's something that could be very useful when you're editing. Another thing that you could do, let's put a couple clips just side by side. So when I'm editing, usually these type of things, I'll have it right at the end. I'll just insert, go to the next clip. I already have it selected in and out, insert, go to the next clip, insert. Obviously, you would have to go and select in and out, but I'm saving a little bit of time for us here. Just showing you again, you could press Option X if you want to reset it, and press I and O, and then we're going to insert that at the end. You could see now everything's just getting put towards the end. Whenever I'm inserting something by pressing W, it gets put right there where the playhead indicator is. Now, if I do want to just put things towards the end and my playhead indicator is not at the end and I don't want to move it towards the end, there's always the append option. Append will just always put that clip at the end. So if I press E, right here on this clip, you see I'm selecting this P1047 clip, and I press E, it's always just going to put it right at the end. Everything just goes right at the end. You could see these are slow motion clips, so they don't have any audio to them. When I record slow motion, I record it in camera slow motion, and it conforms it to my frames per second. So everything is recorded in 23.97 frames per second. Right here, so those are the 3 basic, the 3 main editing tools. insert, connect, and append. And if you're going to connect, like we said, we'll go over that again. That's going to be W, and that'll basically make it go over. That's if you want to place anything over. Let's say if you want to have different options of this or things like that, you could have it go over, and you could see it's a lot easier sometimes to move things when they're on top. Basically, when you're in the timeline to move things around, there's two main ways to move things around. There's going to be the A key, so you're going to press A, and that's going to give you the arrow. You can move things around. That's not going to let you move anything around unless it's in beginning or at the end of a certain clip. So you can see it counts this empty space as a clip. So I would have to move it to the end of that clip. I could move it around here. It moves all the other clips to fill in that gap so it doesn't leave any extra gap. And you could see, I'm going to move this to the end. It fills in the gap that was here, move the clip over. That's a pretty convenient thing. If you're just moving clips around, you just want to change the order of certain things. It's very fast. Just move things around right there. Another thing you can do is you can press P instead of A. Right there I was on A before. You can see how the arrow changes a little bit. When I go to P, it becomes a little more pointy. So the arrow, and then this is P, changes a little bit. And that basically lets me move it more freely. Instead of being so constrained, I could basically move it wherever I want. Sometimes people complain that Final Cut doesn't let you do this. It does let you do this. You can move the clip wherever I want. I could even put the clip right here in between. It'll erase whatever was there. So you see it doesn't move it to the side like the other option did. It will actually just kind of get rid of whatever was there. I'm overwriting it. That's a cool option to do. You could also put it on top. You're very free to kind of move anything around in P for sure, but you got to be careful that you will overwrite things. So you got to be careful with that freedom. So that's basically what I would do. I'd go down each of these clips. I'd go through all of my clips in the pre-ceremony, and I'd go to each one, and I'd basically select each one, find the best parts, and then I'd insert it in. And you see the playhead moves over whenever you're inserting, so you don't have to do it again. You could just keep inserting, 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 and just keep going very quick. This is why Final Cut can be very quick, because you could just insert all of these very quick. They've already been pre-selected. You would have to select them like I told you, but it's pretty nice. It's pre-selected. So it's very fast. It could be very fast even if you have to select it. It's just I-O and then W, I-O, W, I-O, W, I-O, W. It could be very, very fast. So now once you have all of those selected, you could see that they're not the color that I originally made them. Remember, I gave them that green color, I believe. Now they don't have that color that I gave them. The reason is because it has audio attached to it. Whenever it has audio attached to a clip, it's always going to take the audio's color. So the audio's color right now is just external audio, normal audio. You could see the roll right here, what it's called. It's just called dialogue, which is dialogue. So it's not like I would name it something else. This is just people talking, so it would be our dialogue. What you could do, you could just select all of them. If you say, I don't want any dialogue from here, but I want to keep that color, I want everything to be colored the way that I like it, you can go right here into the inspector, which is right here on the top right, these little icons right here. I don't know what you would call this. It's Command 4. It's basically control tabs. They're basically control tabs is what they are. You can go right here into the inspector. It looks like little control tabs here on the top right. And then you choose your audio. Right here on the bottom, right here on the top, you can choose which section you're inspecting. But we'll choose this is for video. This would be for audio. We're going to be inspecting our audio. And you could just right here on the bottom, the audio config. And you could just right here on the bottom. And you could just right here on the bottom, right here in this audio configuration, uncheck it. And right when you uncheck it, you see it becomes that green color that we had before. This is a very convenient thing. Let's say if I do want to keep the audio from this clip, I know that I've kept the audio from this clip because it's a different color. It immediately lets me know this clip I want to use the audio. And these are things that I'll make decisions when, if they'll say something very nice or something that I do want to keep, I will mark and just keep that audio so that I know that it's something that I do want to keep. Now that's basically how you'll go through. You'll go through and do this for all of the sections. So for the groom, you would select all, make sure it's on the right roll. You can see here I already had a roll, groom video. And you would just go through and insert all of them. Insert all of these clips. When you select it, it inserts it. press W, it just inserts it. It always goes to the end, so you could just go down, press all the grooms clips. Now, what I like to do, one of the next things we'll talk about is when to leave gaps. Now, something that I did when I first started editing wedding videos is that I would always kind of have all of the bride's clips and then I would have all of the groom's clips. It wouldn't be as interesting, or it wouldn't be very dynamic. Now what I do, what I've kind of grown more to do, one of the secrets that I use is I kind of separate them. So I have a few of the groom's clips or a few of the bride's clips, and then I'll go to a few of the groom's clips. I try to separate them using establishing shots. So when I'm going from the bride to the groom, I'll put in an establishing shot. You can see I have one right here selected. We'll just kind of put it in. So we'll go here, have an establishing shot, and then we'll see the groom. And these are things that I'll kind of just set up right here. You see I leave gaps in between so that I know that that's something that I want to keep in between. I don't want to edit that out. These are different sections. Whenever I have a different section, I leave a gap in between. Now when there's going to be pre-ceremony details, most of these will be edited in between. Usually I'll put a few pre-ceremony clips right before everything, so kind of get you into the mood of the day. So I'll kind of place a few here, insert, just place a few. We'll kind of figure out the order later. Right now we'll figure out the exact length later. Right now you can see that's a little shaky. You probably aren't going to use that. Sometimes this was actually on like underneath an air conditioner or something, so a lot of these clips came out shaky, so I won't use them. But luckily I got enough of what I needed. That's why you always make sure to get a lot of clips. The wide shot looked nice. They were fine with the wide shot, and this one I was able to stabilize where it looked nice, so it's fine. I ended up okay. But you got to make sure you get enough shots. That's one of the main parts of it. But we'll put a few of these pre-ceremony shots of the shoes. They always love seeing their shoes. They always look very nice if you get nice shots of them. And then we'll put those in before. We'll have a gap in between. I usually like putting an establishing shot in the beginning as well. So I have all these establishing shots. So basically, since I have many shots in this one clip, I put markers so I know where each of my shots are. So right here I could put in. I know that this is a shot that I want to use. Out. I could put this right in the beginning if you say that that's the type of thing I'm into. And this could be one of the first clips that we see in the beginning. This is all a style choice. I try to keep it as interesting as possible. I like showing the location. I want to make them feel like they're on their wedding day again. Show the sky, show them smiling, go between each of them. This is all things that I set up in the rough cut already. So when I start refining everything, it's already kind of in place already. I don't have to worry so much about having to do major drastic edits into the fine cut. More, for me, I see it as a refinement. It's not completely re-editing everything again. The rough cut should get me in the right direction, and then the fine cut kind of refines everything. That's why it's a fine cut. It refines. That's the way I consider it, at least. And you'd go through all of these clips. Now, once we go through the pre-ceremony, we would place our ceremony clip. Where I have those is in my timeline. I always keep them in my timeline. And you could see that I just have it named. It's under clips. It wouldn't be a project. They're a clip because it was a multicam clip that I created into a sub-clip. And then this would just be ceremony. I named them like this so that I know that these are my main clips. And the way you could do it is just like if it was any other clip. You just press W and it's in. You could zoom out. We'll zoom out. Command L to just kind of zoom us out. You could always Shift Z, but Command plus and minus is how you zoom in and out. It's very easy. And you see the whole ceremony is right here. And it's already edited between the different angles. So it's all ready to go. All that work that we did before is all done. And then usually I'll put the reception right after too. We'll just insert that in. The reception is going to be much longer. And the way that I edit the reception, we can go in here. I'll double click it. If you want to go into that clip, you just double click it. And now, the way that I edit the reception, to just give you an idea of how to set it up when you're setting up your rough cut, is I have all of the formal events that we edited as multicam clips, and then I place things in between. So these are the multicam clips. Sorry, it's beach walling on me right here, because I'm not on proxy, so it's kind of struggling to get me playing through here. Anytime it's a multicam clip, it'll always have kind of those problems. But you can see I kind of place clips in between my multicam clips. So I go from they're dancing to some dancing, make them feel like they're partying again, and then I go back to some formal events. We can play the formal events for a few minutes, and then we'll go back to some dancing, have some fun, and then we'll kind of go back to the formal events to kind of keep it interesting. This is something that I used to not do as much when I first started as well. You would kind of make everything more linear. Now I try to keep it more interesting, not always just have all the clips that are formal one after the other, and not all the dancing at the end. I try to throw in the dancing in between, make it feel like they're actually at the party again, makes them feel excited about their wedding again. These are all little touches that just make the video so much better, and make it beyond something that is just basic. So basically what you would do is in between the ceremony and reception, you'd put whatever happened in the cocktail hour. Usually it would be clips from there. So I'd go in and edit things. Sometimes the cocktail hour clips are some of the nicest clips of the bride and the groom. So I'll kind of put them in the beginning to have some nice clips in the beginning. I'll show you kind of how I do that later, but just put some nice clips in the beginning of them together. This is their wedding day, to let them remember that they are married. Don't just have them separate the whole time. Show them together again. That's at least my style. That might be something that you do differently, but I think that brings a lot to it when you show them together and then separate, and then them coming together as a family. And it's a very interesting, and it's at least part of the artistic essence that I bring to it. But maybe you do it differently, but it's definitely, I think, a tip to try to make it a little bit different, not linear. Try to find something different to do, not so simple. Bring a little bit of more complexity to the table. So you'd go through all of the rest of the day. Like I said, the reception basically would have the dancing, reception details. Make sure you get all of those in. Make sure you put them all in an interesting order. Usually the reception details would become before this reception multicam clip, to just kind of set you up for the reception. Usually I'd kind of cut between some reception details and some of those cocktail hour shots that I had shown you with the bride and groom together to kind of lead you up. I'll save some of the cocktail hour shots for the cocktail hour, but put some of the nice ones in before as well. You gotta save some as well. That's why it's very important to get a lot of shots with the bride and groom together, because it just makes the video so much better when you have shots of the bride and groom together. Now that's gonna be pretty much how you set up your rough cut. Go through all your clips, get it set up in the right order, the order that you think is the most interesting. Leave gaps in between so you know what's what. Color everything so you know what's what. And then once you have everything set up, you're gonna watch the next video, and that's gonna be how to refine this edit, how to make it more interesting, how to find the exact parts of the clip that we want to use, and how to get this a little bit more refined so that we can move into the pick lock where we're going to do our color correction, we're going to add some effects, and we're just going to make it more interesting even more. So we do things in stages, like I said, to just get it to be a finished product at the end, and it looks like 10 editors basically worked on it and you did it by yourself. So we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.